7-game road trip is here in Texas. And the Rangers come in hot. They're at 65 and 61 now and battling for a wild card berth. For the Birds, Kevin Gausman takes the mound as the O's try to get game one. It's the O's and Rangers up next on Massive. It's the Orioles on Masson on a hot and sticky night in Arlington, Texas. It's the O's and Texas Rangers tonight, the opening game of a 3-game weekend series. And hi, everyone. I'm Jim Hunter, and as the Orioles arrive here in Arlington, they are hoping to find their bats. The Birds in the past 8 games have scored 3 runs or less in 7 of those games, and they have lost all 7. And today, a roster move they hope will spark the offense. One of the top prospects in the organization, Dario Alvarez, has joined the team, and he'll make his major league debut tonight. And he was having an all-around fine season at AAA Norfolk. .275 batting average, 16 home runs. He had 72 RBIs, 61 runs scored, and he was on a tear the last 14 games, batting at .333. He will make his big league debut tonight. And Jim Palmer, the Orioles don't know what to expect from Alvarez at this level, but they are intrigued by that power bat that he brings.
Yeah, that, and of course they've been looking for somebody that can solidify their defense. We saw this. Buck Showalter, the Oriole manager, talked about it all spring. Who has a better arm than him in the outfield? We've got a lot of good arms, but Parra can throw, Jones can throw, and now Alvarez. So, again, how do you face Cole Hamels, MVP in the 2008 World Series? Left-handed pitcher. You hit right-handed. He's given up 17 home runs, 15 against right-handers. He's already given up more home runs than he threw all last year. Again, the Orioles are looking for offense. You're going to get the defense. Hopefully he'll be able to put some runs on the board for Kevin Gausman. And the Orioles hoping to make a run at the Rangers, who currently hold down the number 2 position in the wild card. We're coming back to Arlington. Lineups and first pitch are next. Fair now at Southwest.com and by Coons.com. When you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Well, it is a warm day in Arlington, Texas. Summer is certainly still here. Our BGE home game time temperature is 94 degrees. BGE Home is Baltimore's home team for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Why would you call anyone else? There's a slight breeze out of the southeast and 35% humidity, partly cloudy here in Arlington, Texas.
And there, Jim, is Dario Alvarez, who is so excited to be here. He arrived last night and is about to make his big league debut. What a moment for him. Defecting from Cuba, came to the United States to be free, and now he's going to play in a big league game.
Yeah, he's really had some outstanding years coming up, and I guess the one thing they talk about, well, he doesn't walk a lot. Well, he'll feel quite at home with the Orioles lineup because the Orioles come in at a little bit over 30% with their on-base percentage. But what he does add to the lineup, again, I mean, he's going to have to figure out if he can hit at this level. You never get to do that unless you get your at-bats. He's a plus defender. He can go get the ball, and arguably the best arm in the minor leagues. And now we'll have one of because the Orioles have some guys that can flat out throw, lead the American League in assists, so he'll be a big part of that.
Yeah, and as he joins this team, the Orioles are looking for a spark. The numbers, Jim, in the past 8 games, these are alarming for a team that's in the pennant race. Consistently, they can't get it going, and they are in a collective team slump.
Yeah, I think the one thing, if you look down and you see the only win, they had to hit 5 home runs in that game, and they got 8 runs. So, again, when you're not hitting a runner in scoring position, the fact that they've been in a lot of close games, you're not winning a one-run games, which has pretty much been the story of 2014 compared to last season when they had the best record in the American League. So, it's again, you play the games. They don't have a lot of choices other than to come out here. Everybody knows that Texas has a good ball club. They've won 18 out of the last 27. They've scored 5 runs a game. Came to Baltimore and kind of turned the year around for the Orioles when the Orioles had just won, 18 out of 23 games. They out-homered them, they outplayed them, and they walked away with 3 out of the 4 wins. So you have a chance now. Again, you've got Gausman, who's pitching as well as anybody. You got a chance to maybe turn the tables.
And they're looking to turn the tables against the team they're trying to catch in the wild card race. And the Rangers, Jim, one of the surprise stories of the second half. Everybody thought, you know what, they're rebuilding. They're not only rebuilding, they're in the race.
Well, it's kind of interesting. When we saw them, they didn't have the Shields. Now, again, he got on base 5 times yesterday. They came back after losing the first 2 games to Toronto, who stormed in here, beat them up the first 2 games. Won yesterday 4-1. He was a big part of that. So, again, you can see the team pitching hasn't been quite as good, but at the end of the day, Jim, you know as well as I, if you can score more than you're giving up, that's how you win ball games.
Yeah, and the Orioles have been a play for the big inning team all year, and unfortunately in this stretch in which they dropped 7 of 8, the big inning is what has been eluding this team.
Yeah, and of course, the one thing, and we also got some numbers this morning. The Orioles have been one of the best teams in keeping other teams from scoring with a great runner and scoring position number. Again, you're not scoring a lot of runs, and that number goes up. The other team getting the big hits. It is tough to win ball games.
So Buck Showalter and the O's take on the Rangers. Here's a look at the O's starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Manny Machado and Steve Pearce up top. Adam Jones in the number 3 spot, and happy to be back in the lineup after the collision with the wall in center field yesterday in Kansas City. Davis, Wieters, and Scope with Joseph DHing. Alvarez making his big league debut in right, and Paul Janisch with the lefty on the mound for Texas gets the start at shortstop. He'll bat 9th.
31-year-old left-hander out of California. So again, fastball 92 to 95. Bobby Wilson, who caught yesterday, said, well, he's throwing a couple even harder than that. Big curveball, and the other pitch he really likes, we'll see a lot of them tonight, is the changeup. Again, a guy that's been struggling through a groin pull on his push-off leg. Came over in the trade from the Phillies after pitching that no-hitter on. That was back on the 25th of July. You can see the numbers. And again, home runs 17 of them, and right-handers hitting 15 of them. So he dominates lefties, at least as far as keeping the ball in the ballpark. And the one thing, Jim, that you figure you could probably do against Cole Hamels, but the Orioles don't do a lot of. The opposition has stolen 20 out of 22 attempts when it comes to stealing bases. So not a good move.
Yeah, the Orioles are last in the American League in stealing bases. It's just not part of their attack as they play for that big inning. And Buck is a believer of not giving up outs on the bases, so they simply don't run. It's not part of it.
Yeah, the only guy that can run and really does do a lot of running, of course, is Manny Machado. He's got 16 steals. He'll lead it off.
Well, at a minimum, the Orioles are hoping to get 2 out of 3 this weekend. They love to get greedy and do a sweep, but first things first as they face Hamels. And here is Manny Machado to lead off, and it's upstairs 1-0. Manny's got a 2-game hitting streak going, 3 for 9, but on the road trip he's batting just .222, 4 out of 18. And a strike in the outside corner came in off speed, 1-1.
Yeah, he sets the tone right away. And we talked about that 24% changeups, fastball count, so to speak. Drops the changeup. And again, you can see 92, 93. When the inability to push off like you normally do, and that groin pull on the left side, he came over right at the trading deadline, and they did have him miss a start to kind of arrest that. But again, this guy can be overpowering, and again, when you take the curveball and especially the changeup fastball combination, he's as they say, a #1 starter. At least that's what they hope.
Check swing at a breaking ball. So Machado with a patient at bat. He has yet to swing the bat, and the count goes full. Manny's first career appearance against Cole Hamels, who tonight is making his 300th major league appearance. And the 3-2, he got him on a changeup. Swing and a miss by Machado, and 1 away.
Yeah, obviously, if you're sitting at home, you're going, well, how do you ever swing at a ball that ends up about a foot outside? Well, it's arm speed. And again, he threw it. He got behind him early. I mean, he sells it about as good as anybody in baseball. And again, you're way out in front. You chase out of the zone because of the deception.
Hamels averages about 8 Ks per game. He gets Manny to lead off here in the first. And here is Steve Pearce, who moves up to #2 tonight with Parra getting the early part of this game off. And the fastball's upstairs, 1-0. Pearce is 4 for 11, a .364 clip in the 4 games since coming off the DL. One of the things with the recent roster moves, including today, Henry Urrutia goes back to AAA and Alvarez is here. This Oriole team now is more balanced. And tonight they're facing a tough lefty, so Pearce and Alvarez get in there. And swing and a miss and a changeup. And on the bench, you have Parra tonight and Steve Clevenger, who is among the hottest hitters on this team. And the pitch to Pearce is swung on a pop weakly to first. There's Mitch Moreland. And 2 men down.
Now take a look at the Rangers defense, and they're not a bad one. Orioles, of course, lead everybody in best defense. So Venable, he made a game-changing play yesterday. 1-0 ball game when he made a great play on Cliff Pennington. DeChiles can go get him in center. Chu in right. Beltry, 3-4 gold gloves. Andres Alberto with Odor with the fingernail problem. Moreland and then Jimenez behind the plate. So they have had their injuries. And both of their regular catchers on the disabled list.
And this is good to see. Adam Jones back in the lineup tonight. Yesterday he left the game after his collision with the wall in center field in Kansas City. He hit the chain link fence that was protecting some on-field signage in Kansas City. He was hustling as always after that ball. With 2 outs and none on here in the first, and Hamels gets a swing and a miss at a breaking ball.
Yeah, I can imagine the scouting report. Well, what kind of hitter is Adam Jones? Well, he loves to hit the fastball. He'll chase a little bit, especially if you get ahead. Not as much as he used to. So what does he do? Back-to-back changeups. He is established already against a team that is 13 out of 15 teams, most strikeouts, the Orioles, that they'll chase, and then he throws a red ball.
So 2 strikeouts in the inning. The Orioles go 3 up and 3 down. We'll head to the bottom of the first. No scores. The Rangers come to bat. Soo Chu and then Prince Fielder, who DHs 47 multi-hit games, second most in the American League. Beltre, Moreland, and Andrus with Venable in left field, and Jimenez and Alberto, the second baseman, batting ninth.
Kevin Gausman will make his 11th start of the year. A lot of fastballs, and why not 93 to he'll touch 98 every once in a while. Breaking ball is a work in progress, but much better over his last couple of starts as far as throwing them over, than a couple of changeups that he can mix in. So the ERA, higher mainly because it's very high on the road. Again, 1-4 on the road with a 6.44, but those are really 2 games where it got out of hand. But other than that, he has really pitched about as well as anybody in the Orioles starting staff.
Coming off a no decision, a tough luck no decision last Sunday in Minnesota, the blown save in the 9th inning against the Twins. It was Gausman's game to win. And here is the rookie Delino DeShields. And yes, O's fans remember his dad. He played for the Orioles for a brief time.
Yeah, Rule 5 acquisition by Texas. And Orioles, he had a pulled left hamstring when the Rangers came to Baltimore the end of June, and so he was on the disabled list. But impact player because he's a very good defensive center fielder. Not a lot of power, a couple of home runs.
But like his dad, he can run. He lifts this to right field. Out goes Scope. And Jonathan has it, a flare to right field, and one away. Let's get a look at our Jeep Inside the Numbers concerning Kevin Gausman. And Jim, pre and post All-Star break, he has turned it around.
Well, the other thing is, look at those numbers and you go, okay, what has changed? Well, number one, he's gotten regular strikes, so he's not using that AAA ball. It's a little bit different, made in China versus the one that's made in Costa Rica. So now all of a sudden knows when he's going to pitch. Early in the year, had shoulder problems in May, had to be on the club because he has a dynamic arm pitching out of the bullpen, and now all of a sudden regular turn, getting experience, and has a chance to help you win.
1-0 on Soo Chu, and he'll take a strike. Chu loves to work the count. He has struck out 120 times, but he's also drawn 52 walks.
Well, right there, he took that pitch because he thought it was low and wasn't called that way. 52 walks, 120 strikeouts. They're even keeping numbers. Apparently, they even keep track of the strikeouts out of the zone. Now, he's not at the top of the list, but he has 15 of those.
So he chases.
No. Balls that are called strike 3, yet they're, with all the machinery and whatever, it's actually balls, but the umpires call them strikes. Apparently, Colby Rasmus and Steven Souza Jr., they've struck out 24 times on balls that were called strikes that weren't. But Chu in the top 5.
Ground ball is short. There's Machado in the shift. And Manny gets it to first, so Gausman gets 2 quick outs.
Well, take a look at the Orioles defense. As we said, only 53 errors. Pierce, Jones, and Alvarez, Major League debut. Rodario, Machado, Gold Glove winner. Giannis, Scope, Davis, and then Matt Wieters with a couple of Gold Gloves doing the catching tonight.
Here is Prince Fielder, who is struggling at the moment, but still batting at .316, which is 4th best in the American League. Gausman misses low 1-0. In his last 30 games, he's batting at a .239 clip, and he has just 2 for his last 13. And you see he has big numbers against right-handed pitching on the year. Bounce it back this way. And the count even 1-1. Fielder now 31 years old. He came here in a trade with the Tigers. It's his 2nd season in Texas.
Yeah, the first one that he's been healthy. Yeah, he really carried them in May, hit .377. You talked about the 17 home runs. He hit 9 of them with 28 RBIs. And then Moreland carried him in June.
Off speed pitch is cued to third. There's Manny wide of the bag, well wide of the bag, and the throw sails, but Davis with a real nice job kept his toe on the bag, and the inning ends. So each pitcher with a 3-up, 3-down inning. Will head to the second. O's come to bat, no score. No score. We'll get a look at our Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers. And second half, he has been on a tear. 16 home runs, third in the major leagues. 39 RBIs is second. Slugging percentage up there. The OPS is up there. All that based on 100 plate appearances since the second half began. And the Orioles really need his bat to heat up, Jim, because when he's going well, he can carry a lineup.
Yeah, and the problem, of course, when you get that hot is you need protection. So again, why would you pitch to him? You may obviously hear talked about Hamels of the 17 home run, 237 batting averages against lefty. Again, only the 2 home runs out of the 17, but maybe he'll get a pitch to hit. But
fouls off the breaking ball, and it's quickly 0-2. Well, Davis comes in just 2 for his last 22 with a home run and 2 RBIs. And he has struck out 13 times in those 22 at bats. And he's down in the count 0-2. And the fastball misses upstairs.
Yeah, that was quite a test yesterday with Mr. Ventura pitching 99 to 100 miles per hour, 87 mile per hour breaking ball. And it seemed when he threw it, he got it over.
There's a bouncer right back to Hamels, who drops it.
Ooh.
With the underhand toss to first to get Davis.
A little unconventional.
Here in the second. The Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Donald Cole of Brookville, has won $500 for being selected and will win $500 more for every Orioles home run hit tonight. Play baseball bucks scratch-offs and win up to $50,000 or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. Here's Matt Wieters as Davis is retired. Davis is the only left-handed batter in the lineup tonight. Wieters at 266. He was 2 for 13 on the trip, and Hamels gets ahead of him.
Yeah, it's amazing. Each month he has played. Delayed start because of the Tommy John coming back from that injury.
This ball is looped to left field, and that'll fall for a base hit. Will Venable came in. And Matt Wieters looked like he was fooled by the pitch, but the result was fine, and there's the game's first base runner.
Well, if you look at his average, over 300 hitting right-handed, it just seems like it's always been a sounder swing. Still a high leg kick, but you're right, he stays back, just serves it into left. Because Venable thought about catching it. And the problem sometimes when you try to make those catches, you play singles into doubles.
Right.
And when you look at this, you got Hamels, who doesn't get a lot of runs. And of course, he's certainly capable of pitching as well as anybody. Gausman doesn't. You expect this to be probably a close game. Well, why play a single into a double, and he didn't.
Jonathan Scope fouls it back.
Of course, Matt says thank you very much.
Yes, he does. When you're 2 for 13 on the trip, you take a base hit like that. Cole Hamels has 115 big league wins. This is his 10th season. He's out of San Diego. And the 0-1 to Scope is line foul. Look out. And Scope, Jim, is one of the hottest hitters in the Orioles lineup.
Well, again, you can see right there. That's probably a little looper, but he's been hitting line drives to right. He hit a 485-foot home run. Kansas City the other night, right there. So again, that was off Cueto. So again, using the whole field, and he keeps talking, Jim, about having quality at bats. If you get up 4 or 5 times, try to have at least 2, 3, 4 of those. And he's doing a pretty good job of it.
Well, it gets the feet moving of Scope.
Well, what that does, it opens up the whole outside corner for that changeup. And of course, if you're hitting, you don't want to take one off the ankle. That's what you were talking about, how, again, in August, really red hot.
And a swing and a miss, so he does get Scope. Got a strikeout number 3 and 2 away here in the second.
Yeah, well, change ups, and then he goes to another level, 95. And he gets it in a perfect. You can see Jimenez, he moves up and in. That's where the ball is delivered. You can see right on the corner.
And here is Caleb Joseph, who is DHing tonight to get the other right-handed bat in there. The Orioles bench tonight 3 left-handed batters, Clevenger, Flaherty, and Parra, and Paredes, the switch hitter, is also on the bench. Caleb has a 2-game hitting streak going, and he's in RBI in the last 2 games. They're playing him the pull. Swing and a miss at a changeup.
Yeah, you know, in years past, you watch Cole Hamels pitch, and you say, well, you know, he doesn't always throw that changeup down and away, but the arm speed and the deception is so good, he doesn't have to. He's one of those guys because he sells it. There's his pitching coach, brother of Greg, Mike Maddox.
Joseph to center field. Out there is the Shields, and he'll wait and put it away. And Hamels works around the 1-out single. Base hit, a man left, mid-second in Arlington. O's and Rangers, no score. Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Ariel Alvarez in right field, making his major league debut. He arrived last night.
Yeah, totally different up here. Different lights, ballparks. When Larry Harlow came up, just played a ball. And Hank Peters, the general manager, the late Hank Peters, said, well, he's not used to the triple-tiered ballparks where the wind's a little bit different, easy to get fooled. While you come out batting practice, take balls off the bat.
Kevin Gausman, a 3-up, 3-down first inning. Here's Adrian Beltre. Moreland and Andrews will follow. 2 ground balls and a weak pop-up in the first, and there's ball 1 inside.
Hey, go back to his last game, as you mentioned, pitched very well against the Twins. The blown save in the 9th inning. The only 2 runs he gave up, the Sano home run in the first.
There's a base hit to center field for Beltre. So leadoff single for the Texas Rangers. Well, head-to-head this year, it's been Texas. They took 3 out of 4 in Baltimore.
Yeah, well, look at the right-hand column when you get the home runs. 10. Keith, Mike Moreland, who, if you look at what was coming up, I mean, he had 4 home runs in that series. Chu hit 2. I mean, you get all these guys that really went the number, and you can see they pitched. The Royals were very fortunate to win one of those games. And going into that series, the Orioles had won 18 of the last 23 games. And Mitch Moreland, and again, you know, when he stays healthy, these are the kind of numbers that he puts up. Last year, really not much able to play because of an ankle injury.
And Gausman gets ahead 0-1. Well, the series, that 4-game series in Texas, or in Baltimore against Texas, the Orioles were trying to get a 4-game split in the finale, and Gausman was terrific. He went 6 1/3 scoreless, but the Orioles were shut out 2-0.
Was that the Gallardo game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Off of the glove of Scope and in the right field. Well, that should be an error. That's a ball that has to be played, and it bounced right by him.
Well, it was hit so hard that home field advantage. I mean, it's a play that if you didn't think you were going to catch, yeah, you should have got in front of it. But the ball was hit hard. It's just that he chose to backhand it. And again, it's hit right on the under, so it's a short hop. He thinks he's going to catch it. Kind of takes a step out of the way to maybe to get the glove in the right position, and then the ball comes in. Certainly not an easy play. Look how far out that ball bounced before Jonathan Scope. The only good news is the runners were at first and second, not first and third.
Here is Elvis Andrus, and he is one hitter in the Rangers lineup that will lay down a bunt. And they're ruling that base hit because, as Jim said, it was hit so hard. So the swing away, and he takes a strike.
Yeah, we talked about the 5 runs a game since the All-Star game, and Elvis has been part of that. He's been over 300 the last 41 games. Line drive hitter, as you mentioned, can do a lot of things. Very good bunter. Not stealing as many bases as he has in years past. 12 out of 18.
He has hits in 10 of his last 13 games. Big early moment for the O's. And the fastball backs him off the plate. Gausman 1-1 as a starter. Excuse me, 1-5 as a starter, 1-0 as a reliever. Rip but foul. Boy, he was out in front of that. Well, what is the opposing batting average with runners in scoring position? Well, the Orioles through August 18th, Jim, did well. Since then, not so much.
Well, that's the whole year, too. That's an incredibly low number. It's kind of the anti what they were as far as when they got to hit. They were 318 going all into June. So, again, this is over, what, 9-game span? And when you don't get a lot of runs, and Kevin Gausman getting 2.58 runs a game, these are critical moments.
Knocked down by Wieters. Beltre's going to advance, but staying at first is Moreland.
That's heads up base running. And it's just a little split fingered fastball trying to get Andrus to roll over, maybe hit a double play ball. Which if he does that now, the Rangers will score a run. But again, if you keep the ball in front of you, not off to the side, Beltre probably doesn't try to go.
Well, it should be a wild pitch allowing Beltre to go. The ball bounced.
Yeah, we did the ruling. Anything that ever hits the ground there's no second guessing. It's automatically a wild pitch, whether it should have been blocked or not.
Line drive down the line and foul.
So we've seen 93 down and in. He ripped that foul. And then there's this little change up. He's out in front. Hit another line drive. Tells me, I mean, he's still got another pitch to work with. We haven't seen 96, 7, or 8, which is what Kevin's been able to do. Go back, I mean, 8 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts his last 3 starts. So in those games, he's been able to get big strikeouts. This is one of those moments.
Another 2-2 pitch coming to Andrus, and he fouls it off. Elvis Andrus came over to the Texas Rangers July 31st of 2007 in a 5-for-2 trade for Mark Teixeira. He was in the minor leagues at the time and has become a star here with the Rangers. So much so they gave him an 8-year contract for $118 million. Battling Gausman here. Here's the 7th pitch. And a liner to right. Coming in on it is Alvarez. He makes the catch. Here comes Beltre. First time to see the arm. Here's the throw. He is out! Out at the plate! Welcome to the big leagues. Dariel Alvarez guns him down at the plate, and 2 men are out.
Well, you know, they always talk about it. The third base coach is going to send the guy because of the scouting reports. Well, I can't believe that they did not know, as the cheerleader, Adam Jones, but it doesn't get any better than this. I saw Rocky Colavito, saw Reggie Smith, saw Clemente. Look at this. I mean, get rid of it quickly. 1-hop throws. That's what Wayne Kirby talks about. Not sure he really tagged him. It didn't really matter. Beltre never, ever touches the plate.
Oh, yeah, he got him on the foot.
But again, the throw beat him so much. So again, Beltre, he did what they told him to do. I mean, Beasley, the third base coach, and that's really It's not on anybody other than the fact that Alvarez made about as good a throw as you can make.
So Dariel Alvarez comes as advertised. First time he touches the ball defensively, he guns down a runner at the plate. Ball one to Will Venable, one of the newer Rangers picked up in a trade from San Diego. Jim mentioned they've had so many injuries with outfielders here. They went out to get Venable. Josh Hamilton, every time he comes back off the DL, seems to get hurt again. And Leonis Martin, who is their regular center fielder, or who was, is also hurt on the DL.
Yeah, Josh Hamilton did take batting practice. He's got the knee problem, left knee bothering him.
And a called strike.
And the other thing about Venable, I mean, you look at his numbers. We saw him when the Orioles went down there a couple of years ago. Hit a big 3-run home run, but 258, 6 home runs, 30 RBIs. But how about 345 when it comes into runners in scoring position number, hitting in the clutch? Not that that's applicable now, but yesterday the great catch also started a late rally that allowed them to pad their 1-0 lead and go on to win 4-1.
Borderline pitch that went Gosman's way. Venable upset. He thought he had a 3-1 count. Instead, it's 2-2.
Well, Field and Culbreth, the home plate umpire, and it does appear that he has a pitcher's strike zone. Strike zone's pretty big.
Runner at first and 2 down, and a foul back. One thing with Gosman, there isn't much difference in the splits lefty-righty, and that shows you just how good his stuff overall is. Lefties bat 228, righties 239.
And then when he gets in trouble, they're only hitting 228, which is 30 points lower than with runners in scoring position in the league average. It's about the run support.
Weak ground ball towards the middle. There's Giannis in the shift. And he'll get Venable at first for the out. And the inning ends with Dariel Alvarez. Welcome to the big leagues. Cuts off a run at the plate. Charging in on it. Plants the feet. The perfect throw to the plate. Wieters with the tag. And Adrian Beltre is out. Through 2. No score in Texas. Day concussion list. The Yankees are in Atlanta tonight. Remember, he was hit a line drive off the bat of Minnesota's Eduardo Nunez and suffered a broken nose. So good that he's back. Blue Jays lead MLB 5.4 runs per game. Encarnacion, a 22-game hitting streak, longest in the big leagues this year. And Ben Zobrist made his first trip back to Tropicana Field since the Rays traded him to Oakland in the offseason. He is there tonight with Kansas City, and he's already 2 for 2 with a double and a run scored. Here's Alvarez's first big league at bat. And a ground ball to Beltre, so on 1 pitch, 1 down, as Dariel Alvarez goes after it, and he is retired.
Yeah, we told you he's not very selective. The longer you go, the more changeups you'll see. And there's no problem swinging at the first pitch as long as it's not a pitcher's pitch. It just looked like a fastball that he was able to hit the third base. But again, this would have been a 1-0 game if he doesn't make that throw.
Here's Paul Janisch, who's getting another start at shortstop. And he'll take a strike.
Well, 2 of the Orioles' 6 hits yesterday in Kansas City. A couple of ground ball singles up the middle.
And down and in, 1-1. Cole Hamels his 300th career game, 299th career start. The only relief appearance he ever made, September 28, 2011 in Atlanta. It was the final day of the season and he came on in relief. Outside ball 3. He is facing the Orioles for a 3rd time. The last time was June 21st of 2009. And the only 2 Orioles still here. As Janisch rips it towards the gap in left center field. There's another base hit for Janisch, who came here with a glove and no bat. He's thinking 2. Here's the throw. He is in with a head-first dive.
Well, it's about getting good pitches to hit and the chances of getting one. And you know, he came in. He had a lot of at-bats against Hamels, 3 for 15. So now make it 4 for 16. He just gets a pitch in the middle of the plate, and as we've seen the last couple of days, saved a couple of runs defensively, hits one up the gap, and then hustles it into a double.
So he is now 4 for 7 as an Oriole, and that's his first extra base hit with the Birds. And here's Manny, who struck out leading off the game. Orioles now with a chance to get on the board here. Runner at second base. And 1 man down.
You got to understand, you used to look at Cliff Lee, and of course Cliff Lee threw the ball over his front shoulder, downhill about as well as anybody. And that's what Hamels does. 6'3", 6'4". Watch him turn. I got to imagine that you're going to see his entire number if you're hitting. And you don't see the ball very well.
Manny showed bunt. He takes it low.
Really closes off his front side, which is probably why you can steal bases on him, because again 20 out of 22, because he's got a pretty deliberate windup. But that's part of his ability to get the hitter out.
One and 1 on Machado. Down and in. It gets all the way back to the screen. So that'll be a wild pitch, allowing Janisch to get to 3rd. That is big, big, big. Now a fly ball can get a run in. Maybe.
We'll see how Jeff Bannister plays it. Again, you have a guy that can strike people out, just pulls it. Look like maybe a changeup or breaking ball down and in, and then Jimenez doesn't get the glove in front of it. He still may be discussing the throw by Alvarez. Beltran.
Where'd that kid come from? Who's that guy? We didn't see him in Baltimore. Swing and a miss.
And the infield does come in, and what does Hamels do? He goes to, at least tonight, as good as any of his other pitches, the changeup.
These are the chances you have to take advantage of. Runner at 3rd, 1 down, and out can get a run in. Upstairs with a fastball.
And of course, Cole Hamels, he's looking on deck. He says, okay, now I know runs may be at a minimum. I don't get a whole lot, haven't got a whole lot this year. And he's already struck him out on a changeup. Get Pierce on deck.
And the 3-2 is down and in, ball 4. So a close pitch, and Manny works the walk. So the Orioles have 2 on with 1 down in the 3rd. Well, the Orioles are back home on Monday. They'll take on Tampa Bay in an AL East division showdown. And on Tuesday, don't miss Ollie's Bargain Night, presented by Ollie's Bargain Outlet. All the upper reserve seats are just $10. You get your tickets now at Orioles.com or just call 888-848-BIRD.
Yeah, the irony of this whole inning is that in the Hamels comes over for pitching his entire career to the American League. You get the DH, unless your interleague plays. He gets Janisch, who would have probably been the 8th hitter.
Right.
I mean, he's the guy that does the damage, hits a double up the gap.
Steve Pierce now, and he'll take low 1-0. So now with the double play in order, the infield is back.
Yeah, you start in spring training saying, okay, man at 3rd, less than 2 outs. I want to get a ball in the air, and then the degree of difficulty goes up dramatically when you get a Cole Hamels on the mound, and that's because of the changeup. If he didn't have that to go 92, 93, they probably could time it. Changeup doesn't allow him to do that.
Throw to first and Manny back.
So we told you, Manny has 16 steals. You can run on Hamels. You just don't want to get picked off with only one out. And again, it's a tough play because it puts pressure on the middle infielders and Jimenez behind the plate.
Here's popped up to first, his first at bat. Chance for an RBI here to get the Orioles the lead. And a good take.
Real good take. Well, you at least get to see the release point. You get to see the spin as you get into the second time around, and that's where the Orioles are. Jimenez 0 for 8 throwing out runners. Hamels easy to run on.
And Manny, as Jim pointed out, leads the Orioles. He has 16 of their 36 steals and draws another throw.
Yeah, not one of those Mike Flanagan, Scotty McGregor moves. The ability, if you can get a good read, is you have a chance not only to steal a base but stay out of the double play. And if that's the case, 2 chances to get a run in.
2-0 on Pierce. Outside, ball 3. Now Hamels with the Rangers has averaged 3 walks per 9 innings.
And you're kind of wondering if that may be the groin related problem.
Could be.
You know, you just don't know. Different league.
See what Pierce does on 3-0. Takes outside, ball 4, and the Orioles have the bases loaded. Back-to-back walks allowed by Cole Hamels. So now it'll be Adam Jones who is looking to break out. And Hamels and Jimenez out for a chat. There was a story in the Dallas Morning News today about Cole Hamels. That Jeff Bannister told him, the 2 active catchers, Jimenez and Bobby Wilson, if you want one over the other, we'll make sure he starts every game. And apparently it came up as just a matter of fact. A reporter asked him after the game, who's going to catch? He goes, well, we'll see, whoever he wants. But it wasn't like a big old statement. It was just, whatever he feels comfortable with.
Yeah, and I talked to Bobby Wilson, and I said, so you didn't get chosen? He goes, no. He said, we've been alternating.
Jones fouls it back, had a good swing.
Well, Jimenez played for Tampa, so you don't come through that organization. You don't pitch for Jim Hickey and that pitching staff if you don't know how to catch. If you're Bobby Wilson, you came through the Angels staff. Mike Scioscia is probably one of the toughest taskmasters as far as learning to catch. And if you watch the game yesterday, he did a marvelous job with Gallardo. He was 4-0 in the month of August. Bobby Wilson behind the plate, and also got a couple of hits.
Swing and a miss. Healthy cut at a fastball, but Adams swung through it. So Hamels a strike away from the second out.
Well, you get it. You go from Manny, who will take a walk, to Adam, who doesn't like to walk. And now he just has to scuffle. And like I said, even though you're thinking get a ball in the air with only 1 out, it's not easy to do. And overthrows that pitch.
Well, Adam is 0 for his last 12. He is 2 for 14 on the trip, and is now just 9 for his last 42. So
it's almost like you want him to stay inside the ball and get jammed and just kind of loop one into the outfield. Because when he gets around it, when he tries to do too much, swing gets long, chases, easier to get out.
2-2. Well, and as we've seen with Adam, Jim, when he goes into these little mini slumps, if you will, the way he usually breaks out is hitting a line drive in the right field. He certainly has the back control to do that. So from 0-2 to 2-2 with the bases loaded and 1 down, big chance here for the O's. And he struck him out. A huge out for Cole Hamels, 2 away.
Yeah, that's a little harder than the changeup, but that's what it looked like. And again, 2 of the 3 strikes out of the zone. And of course, deception, and obviously, I don't know if that's a slider. I don't know what it was, but anyway, either that it ends up out of the zone, and Adam just chases. And, maybe a changeup.
So here's Adam Jones now 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Chris Davis now. And the breaking ball's outside. Now, Cole Hamels has allowed 17 home runs on the year, and Jim pointed out 15 of those by right-handed batters. The two lefties who have taken him deep, Brandon Belt of the Giants and Robinson Cano of Seattle. And both those home runs were hit pitching for the Rangers. So he had not allowed a National League hitter, or when he was pitching for the Phillies, even an interleague, a left-handed batter to take him deep. And Chris, 4 to left this year, including 1 in Kansas City, 10 to center field, and 21 to right.
Yeah, and the ability to hit him with one hand.
So it was 1st and 3rd and 1 down. Now it is bases loaded, 2 down.
And that changeup, even with the bases loaded and 1-0 count. Obviously, the pitch he feels more comfortable with.
Now Chris has struck out 21 times in his last 11 games. 21 of 37 at-bats have been strikeouts. And a good take inside. Tried to get him to chase.
A big article in the LA Times, and it was talking about when you get to these counts, 2-1, the batting average, if you put it in play, as you look at our Nissan pitch act, that ball misses way inside. The batting average, if you make contact, is .342 when you get the 2-1 counts. And with the bases loaded, especially, no place to put it.
And a foul off the shin guard of the catcher, Jimenez. Count evens up 2-2.
Yeah, another changeup. So he's pitching backwards in the sense that you think you're going to get a fastball, you get a changeup, and it's probably because that's his comfort zone pitch.
Giannis at third, Machado at second, Pierce at first with 2 down. And the 2-2 to Davis inside, ball 3. Boy, does he love that changeup.
Well, you talked about, well, he does because it's his best pitch tonight. Talked about Matt, on base percentage. Excuse me about Chris, and right here, what's he tell you? When he doesn't try to hit it very hard, the ball goes a long, long way.
Runners on the move, and the pitch in the dirt, ball 4, and it gets away from Jimenez. So the Orioles get the lead as Giannis comes in, a bases loaded walk, and 3 walks in the inning. And the O's jump on top.
Well, Mike Maddox is going to come out and talk to him. And again, he talked about first time in a long time. The last time Cole Hamels pitched against the Orioles, entirely different ball club back in 2009. Well, again, they put a lot of pressure on you. You think you're going to make your pitch, you don't. You go 3-2. You don't want to. He knows that Chris Davis is the hottest Oriole hitter in the sense of since the All-Star break with 16 home runs. So it's not that he pitched around him. He just didn't want to give up a grand slam.
Up to 53 pitches now. The Rangers bullpen, although better as of late, has struggled on the year. You'd like to get into that bullpen as early as possible. So here is Matt Wieters, one of the 2 Orioles still here with the Birds that faced Cole Hamels in his last start against the Orioles on June 21st of 2009. Swing and a miss. The other start against the Orioles came back in 2006 when Cole Hamels was a rookie. It was his 7th major league start. How long ago was that? Brian Roberts hit a 2-run home run. Ramon Hernandez, the catcher, hit a 2-run home run. Names long gone. Wieters singled his first at bat. So bases loaded walk, 3 walks in the inning, helping the Orioles get that run. And a strike called. Now that time it looked like he had him fooled. The way he reacted to that, he must have been thinking about the changeup, and he got the fastball right by him.
Or that, or the first pitch he swung at over his head. That kind of sets up the whole at bat because it allows the guy that's just walked 3 in this inning to get ahead.
Ground ball toward short. Here comes Andrews. And he'll play it to first to get Wieters, and Hamels gets out of a big jam, and the struggles for the O's continue, but they do get the lead on the bases loaded walk. Mid-third in Texas, 1-0 Orioles. Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com and by your local Mazda dealers. Beautiful moon over Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. As the Orioles and Rangers open up this 3-game series. What a beautiful shot. Kevin Gausman, 29 pitches to get through 2 innings.
Which is actually a little bit under. He's right around a little bit between 16 and 17 for a young pitcher. It's pretty efficient, especially a power pitcher.
Chris Jimenez will lead off. Hanser Alberto on deck, and then Delino DeShields. And there's a strike. Now Kevin's run support average 2.58. It's a tad better as a starter. They've scored 18 runs for him as a starter. 2.64.
Yeah, and then while he's in the game, it gets worse. You look at what 1.80. That other number is of the games that he started, which is still extremely low. I got to imagine this is his 11th start. It's got to be down there with probably the lowest, if not the lowest, run support in the American League.
Jimenez has been up from AAA since July 31st. Both their catchers are hurt and on the disabled list. That's why Jimenez and Bobby Wilson are here. Carlos Corporon.
Yeah, Chirinos has the shoulder problem. That Corporon has a thumb that they're hoping is getting better.
Ball hit towards short. There's Giannis. Plays the in-between hop.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get out of the box when you hit the ball between your hands. That's how far up on the bat that fastball was. So a well-located fastball.
It's already the 4th ground ball out of the first 7 outs in this game. Here's Hanser Alberto. Rookie out of the Dominican Republic, made his major league debut on May 29th. He was on the Rangers when these teams played in Baltimore. He was hitting .310 in AAA before his promotion, and getting regular starts at second base with Odor on the bench. That ball chases Pierce, and he runs it down to deep left center field.
Yeah, this is a ballpark where every ball in the air used to really carry, and apparently they opened up some of the panels down below on the lower field level.
You notice there, it looked as if he told Adam, yeah, I almost lost it. He kind of motioned up to the lights in the sky here.
Yeah, and those are the panels, so apparently they used to be closed and the wind would actually come in and then actually jet out. Now, Dave Magadan, who's their hitting instructor, says not that the ball won't carry. Toronto hit 3 home runs earlier in the week in a game, but you got to hit it.
Here's DeShields, his second at bat, and he shows bunt, takes a strike. He was out here early this afternoon working on his bunting. They had a pitching machine set up on the mound, and must have been 20 minutes straight he was out there bunting.
Well, they're doing the right things. I mean,
he's got speed, use it.
Well, you got to get on, and again, if you can steal bases, he's got 22 of them, and you want them to play and respect the bunt, you got to work on it. I mean, when I see Robbie Alomar when he was with the Orioles every day at home, work on it, he'd be out early, maybe only 5 minutes or so.
That one went off the glove of Wieters, who I think was expecting another pitch.
Well, either that or maybe it's just a splitter that really moved. But he caught it somewhere up on the thumb or the wrist.
Matt Smiley and himself, I believe.
Well, the good news, it wasn't strike 3.
And the 1-2 is a bouncer towards the middle. There's Giannis, plays the hop, fires quickly to get the speedy DeShields. And Kevin Gausman has his second 3-up, 3-down inning. So Gausman settling in. We'll head to the 4th. The O's with a 1-0 lead. here in Arlington, outside of downtown Dallas, as the Orioles open up this 3-game weekend series. This is a big weekend for the O's. They're 2.5 back in the wild card. The Rangers right now holding the number 2 spot in the wild card, with the Yankees holding the number 1 spot. So if the Orioles can get to the Rangers here, they would certainly improve their positioning against one of the teams they're trying to catch. Good cut by Scope, and he fouls it back.
Yeah, I was working out today, and I looked up one of the TVs, see where they're staying. They have a great workout facility. The Orioles are given an 8% chance of making the playoffs.
Just 8.
Only 8. So they need to change that. You know how you change that? You win about 8 or 9 in a row. Go on one of those streaks, kind of like they did in June when they won 18 out of 23. Be a nice way to get towards the finish line.
And a swing and a miss. So Scope not only 0 for 2, he has struck out twice. That is 5 strikeouts for Cole Hamels.
Yeah, I think that might be a cut fastball because, you know, he throws a couple of them and right here just pulls it down and in. And he's just set up the outside corner with his changeup, and you could see the movement, and then Jimenez gets hit in the mask with Scope's bat.
Hamels in his career has averaged just under 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. It was at 8.6 for his career coming in. And he gets ahead of Caleb Joseph. When it became clear that the Phillies were going to trade the veterans that other teams would want so they could try to refurbish their farm system, Cole Hamels had a no trade clause, and he and his wife sat down and they came up with some kind of a formula that they would rate each city to see where it would stack up. It was on a point system. And he says that Texas came out number 1 of places that were desirable to play.
I can give you one of the indicators of that. There's no state income tax in the state of Texas.
So Joseph down on strikes.
Yeah, that's first curveball he's thrown for a strike, and strikeout number 6. So I may have something to do with it.
Maybe.
Here's the big hook. And of course, again, you don't have to throw it for a strike. You want to throw it under the zone. That's exactly what he does.
Caleb thought he checked. David Rackley at first base rings him up.
Well, the other factor is, I mean, it was a good trade in a sense that they get a potential number 1 starter, especially when he's healthy, and he's signed all the way through 2018, and then there's a vesting option. So as good as David Price is, proven in the American League, goes to Toronto, he is a free agent. Doesn't mean he won't sign there, but they're going to have to compete with other teams. They have Cole Hamels all the way through the 2018 season.
It was a 6-for-2 trade. Jake Diekman, who's in the Rangers bullpen, came with Cole from Philadelphia as Alvarez swings through it. 2-1.
Well, we saw him when the Phillies were in. He's got, I mean, he throws 96 or 97. A left-handed reliever to go with a left-handed starter.
Well, you know, Dario Alvarez did not see this type of quality pitching in AAA.
Well, he got 95 on a 2-1. He aired it out, or actually 2-0, and then he dropped a curveball. It's not the way they pitch in AAA.
And he got him. Another breaking ball, swing and a miss. Jimenez placed at the first, and Hamels has a 3-up, 3-down inning as he strikes out the side. He led to the bottom of the 4th. The Orioles holding on to a 1-0 lead. August the 28th. Let's go back to 1926. Dutch Levson of the Indians pitched 2 complete game wins over the Red Sox. He won the first game 6-1 and the second game 5-1. Did not strike out a batter in either game. And the Indians, to win those games, used the identical lineup in both games. And then in 1938, Connie Mack Day at Shibe Park, the A's won a doubleheader from the White Sox, and also on that day set a league record. They played in their 7th successive twin bill in 8 days.
Did they get to add that 26 man back there?
No,
probably not.
Probably not.
So Dutch.
Did you ever pitch in 2 games in one day in the big leagues? No.
No.
What was that look?
Crazy.
Come on, you're Jim Palmer.
I was never gifted enough to get knocked out early in the first game of a doubleheader.
There you go.
And then beg Earl to come back in the nightcap.
I remember that happened to Wilbur Wood once. The White Sox knuckleballer, he was pitching against the Yankees and got knocked out real early in the first game. So the White Sox sent him out to start the second game. And the changeup is low.
And so Chu has reached, what, 31 straight games, one way or the other. And again, in Baltimore, a couple of home runs. Yeah, he's one of those guys where, you look at the numbers when you're coming in. If you're Kevin Gausman, you know that he can walk. You also know he can hurt you a little bit, but you still got to be aggressive early in the strike zone, and then you don't find yourself 3-1.
High fly ball to right. Alvarez in the corner. That ball has some carry, and in the corner it is gone. So he hits it out. He got ahead 3-1. Got a pitch to hit. And he didn't miss it.
Yeah, because you have to throw him a strike, and he knows it. Now, obviously, sometimes you don't throw a strike, but he can get a lot quicker when it's 3-1 than when it's 0-2, 1-2, even 2-2. And again, when you pitch on the inside of the plate and guys are looking for that pitch, they get to hit it to the short part of the ballpark. It's inside third of the plate, and he just lifts it. He's looking fastball, gets fastball. And again, we told you about the wind here. Sometimes it can gust. And that ball just got up. And it's funny, the smoke from the fireworks is blowing across the field down the left field line. But I'm not sure that's the way the ball is carrying.
And he falls behind Prince Fielder 2-0. So the Orioles had a big chance in the inning they got the run. They stranded the bases loaded. 359 feet on that home run, right down the line. This ball to center field, chasing Adam Jones. Adam looks up, and that ball is off the wall and in play. Adam firing to second base. Here comes Fielder. Here's the tag. He is out at second base. Adam Jones played it perfectly, his 12th assist, and the Orioles' 39th of the year. And Fielder's out at second, 1 away.
Well, there you go, Dario Alvarez. Perfect carom, perfect throw. Wayne Kirby, the outfield coach, first base coach for the Orioles, and a very nice tag by Jonathan Scope. Go get it. You don't know where the runner's going. Not a lot of speed. The head first dive and crash by Prince Fielder. But check out this throw. And what Wayne was saying is you don't always see Adam's arm until you need to see it. And there it was. Again, it's not an easy tag because you have no idea where the runner, in this case it's Prince Fielder, is going to slide. He does crash and burn for the first out. That's a long single.
That is a big, big out in this 1-1 game. There's Beltre. There's a strike, 0-1.
Yeah, the one thing about Kevin Gausman, when he does get into these modes, and you can see a lot of balls in the middle of the plate, that's where eventually he will be able to work down and away. There's a change up on the outside corner. Beltre reached the first time on Dave Wallace was and Dom Chidi, Oriole pitching coach, talking about that Kevin has actually come up with a BP fastball. Take a little bit off your fastball. That's what he hit the center field. And there's a home run swing.
Kevin does not have a strikeout in this game, nor has he walked a batter. He's allowed 4 hits, and the home run has tied the game. The 11th home run he's allowed on the season. Bouncer towards the middle. Giannis diving try. It's off his glove and in the shallow center field. Beltre's thinking about going to second, then puts on the brakes as Jones gets to it. And Jones is saying, come on, you want to run on me? You want to run on me? And they're having a back and forth with big smiles on their faces. It's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag #OsCouchCam, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast, all brought to you by T-Mobile. So 3 consecutive hits in this inning. The fielder out trying to stretch, so there's a runner at first and 1 down for Moreland.
Yeah, we haven't seen the normal 95, 6, 7 velocity on a regular basis yet tonight. Well, again, if he's in the middle of the plate, and as we mentioned, this team hitting well since the All-Star break over the last 27, 28 games, 5 runs a game. Got to mix them up.
Gausman has now allowed 5 hits, 4 singles in the home run. Outside 1-0.
And the other thing, Jim, is when you constantly, it sounds like I'm kind of whining, complaining, but when you don't get a lot of runs, every pitch means so much. You know, it's not like he gets a 3-4, 4-1 lead, 5-1 lead, and he can maybe back off on a pitch, and that pitch isn't going to mean the game. Most of his games aren't those kind of games. I mean, they're full out, every pitch means something.
Well, and really, you just described the Orioles staff as of late.
Yeah.
In the last 8 games, they're 1-7, and in the 7 losses, 3 runs or less. The one game they won, they scored 8 runs because in that game they had 5 home runs, and the 5 home runs drove in all the runs. 2-0 the count, and a good changeup. He had Moreland thinking fastball there, and instead it fell off the table.
Yeah, he'd probably be saying, I'm glad I didn't hit that pitch because it was a very good one. I mean, that was a little bit of Cole Hamels right there. Fastball count, throw him a changeup. From what we've seen with Kevin Gausman, for somebody that's turned 24, he's capable and able to do that.
And a called strike on the outside corner, another off-speed pitch. So from 2-0 to 2-2 on Moreland.
Yeah, that's a pitch that, because it's on the corner, it's effective. Now you bring that ball in, played 17 inches, bring it in 6 inches, very hittable pitch. Once again, they have the shift on against Mitch Moreland.
Runner at first and 1 down. 2-2 is a called strike 3. Got it over at the knees. So strikeout number 1 for Gausman is big. There's the second out.
Yeah, Kevin is more comfortable to his arm side because he's way over on the third base side of the rubber, and that's his angle right to the outside corner, and that's exactly what he's able to do. Perfect placement on a strike 3 call.
Here's Andrews, the shortstop. Flied out into the double play in the second inning when Alvarez gunned down Beltre at the plate. Down an inning, almost went after it.
Yeah, it's difficult for, I think, for Kevin Gausman when you throw in the mid-90s to get guys to chase that breaking ball because they're looking fastball, and unless he throws it for a strike, it's usually going to be a ball. In the sense they're not going to chase it. They're just not looking for it.
Hard hit ball. What a play by Machado. Looks to second, instead goes to first. Manny just saved a run, and the O's defense tonight has been spectacular. So Machado gets Andrews, takes a base hit away, and the inning is over. Our Mazda do-ups as we head to the top of the 5th. Giannis, Machado, and Pierce in a 1-1 game. Quincy Lattimore, first year in the Orioles organization, today was named to the Eastern League season-ending All-Star team. And Jim, he had a real good all-around year, 26 years old, and at least opening some eyes in his first year with the O's.
Yeah, he's been around. I mean, he was last year with Harrisburg in Washington, and then he played independent league ball the year before. So, again, one of those guys that certainly is likes playing baseball. And it paid off this year. Again, a guy that has a little bit of speed, so must have a little athleticism.
Paul Janisch takes strike one. He doubled in the third inning, came around to score the Orioles run. Towards the middle, but there's the second baseman Alberto, and he'll get Janisch at first. So in the shift, and a ground out and one away. Celebrate the 20th anniversary of Cal Ripken Jr.'s historic 21-31 game next Tuesday, as baseball's Iron Man will throw out the ceremony of first pitch before the game at 7:05 that night against the Rays. Good seats still remain at Orioles.com, but they won't last long. Plus, visit Orioles.com/2131 to bid on the official Orioles Maryland license plate numbers 2130 and 2131. All the proceeds will benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation. A lot of O's fans here in Arlington. Cotton candy time.
Oh, yeah. Actually, when the breeze comes up and the sun goes down, it's pretty pleasant. High 80s.
Huge right back to Hamels, who makes a nice play. And Machado's retired for the second out.
Yeah, so it strikes out the side after the 3 walks back in the third inning, and then a couple of ground balls here in the fifth. Keep the pitch count down.
6 in a row retired since the bases loaded walk to Davis forced in the run. Steve Pearce popped up in the first inning, walked in the third. His walk got the bases loaded, which enabled Davis to come up and get the RBI and the bases loaded walk. O's are 1-3 on the trip, 2-8 in their last 10 games, and they're now 11-14 in August. Hard hit ball and foul down the line. There are 4 games, including tonight, left in the month. Tampa Bay will be in town on the next homestand, and it's only a 3-game homestand. The Orioles then go back out on the road to Toronto and New York.
Yeah, well, the month of August, and again, if you look, the only winning month was June, 18-10. 500 ball, 10-10 in April.
Breaking ball, swing and a miss. 7 Ks so far for Cole Hamels.
Yeah, he's much more comfortable the last 2 innings throwing that breaking ball. He's added a third pitch to the repertoire.
And that went off the end of the bat and foul. Well, Hamels in his final days as a Philly, he went 1-4 in his final 10 starts. Of course, they're having such a tough year, that doesn't necessarily mean that he pitched poorly. They just didn't win. And he's coming off a win last Sunday. He won at Detroit, going 6 strong innings. That was his first win as a Ranger. 1-2 on Pearce, and a swing and a miss. Foul tip actually held by Jimenez in another strong inning. That is 8 strikeouts for Cole Hamels. Led to the bottom of the 5th in a 1-1 game.
defense, Dario Alvarez, major league debut. They get to see the arm. Do they ever? First and third. Beltre tries to make it 1-0. Guns him out at the plate. 38 assists by the Orioles. And then the Orioles with a 1-0 lead. Chu able to homer down the right field line. Tied up 1-1. And then Rickenfelder kind of watched this a little bit. Shouldn't have done it. Here comes assist number 39. Great throw by Jones. Great tag by Scope. And the Orioles get another out. Those are our Geico highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. So there they are.
Came in tied with Minnesota for most in the majors with 37. Now leading with 39. Pitch outside the Venable shows bunt. Jimenez on deck, then Alberto.
And a lot of it has to do when you talk about 39 assists. It starts in spring training with your outfield coordinator, happens to be the first base coach, Wayne Kirby. You know about catching the ball, getting rid of it quickly, the one-hop throws. And you don't have a lot of number one starters in the Orioles. You need to defend well in the outfield. Otherwise you can't play here. That's why Alvarez fits so well.
Did that foul knock his helmet off?
No, I'm not sure. I know a little breaking ball. He just. There's a curveball.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
And trying to hit against the shift.
Yeah, that and the fact that, he didn't have much other choice. Well, that is one of the hazards. I mean, they're shifted around the spray chart. But if you're throwing 95 and you throw him a fastball away, he just hits a bouncer. It's a base hit.
And a comebacker. Gosman the first for the out. And one away. On Friday, September the 11th, the Royals come to Oriole Park. They'll begin a 3-game ALCS rematch. Now that night, first 25,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Orioles hooded sweatshirt. So don't miss this warm addition to your Birdland wardrobe. Get your tickets now, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. We know the seasons are about to change. The giveaways are now winter items.
Are they giving away gloves yet?
Not yet. That ball's crushed to center field. Adam Jones looks up, and that's going to go. Second solo home run in the game. This one by Jimenez. And the Rangers have a 2-1 lead.
Well, it's an amazing game. The last time up, he jams them. I mean, you got to go ice your thumbs. He's in on your fist so much, and then he gets one out over the plate. Chirinos and Corcoran, their catchers on the DL. Wilson calls a great game, and then Jimenez gives him the lead. What did Dave Madigan said? If you hit him, maybe not carrying like it used to. This is just a fastball down the middle of the plate, puts the foot down and then launches it. And that is 4 home runs now.
And the pitch taken low by Alberto, the number 9 batter. Alberto flied out to deep left field his first at bat and fouls it off.
That's now 4 home runs for Chris Jimenez and 41 in the bat.
Yeah, he's only been here since July 31st. For Kevin, that is the 12th home run now given up. 411 feet.
In a hurry.
And the bunt third base side. Manny's going to let it roll, and it goes foul. That was a real good bunt attempt, but it goes foul. So,
well, Alberto, and there's the 100-mile-per-hour bat speed. Jimenez putting on the equipment.
Well, the Rangers with 2 home runs in this game. It's now the 39th time they've allowed a multi-home run game. Well, 1-2 the count on Alberto. Ground ball towards Manny. Off the glove in foul territory, and Alberto's going to reach.
Yeah, he can run a little bit. I mean, even if you catch that ball, it's going to be bang, bang. And again, he's off the line, a little breaking ball, so you're probably playing percentage baseball. He's not going to pull anything, but he does because you can see how many steps he had to take to get there. And this is not that it's a shift, he's just playing off the line because he figures he will not pull the fastball. And of course, he throws him a breaking ball. And there's a great angle right there, and then the ball stayed down. If I could hit a little indentation. 7 hits now for the Rangers.
So 1 out base runner. And here is the Shields as the lineup turns over again. Outside, 1-0.
And remember, good fastball hitter.
Delino DeShields is 23 years old. His dad settled in Georgia, so that's where he grew up, College Park, Georgia. And he takes a strike. First round pick of the Astros in 2010, and as Jim mentioned, Rule 5 here to Texas. So not only does he have to stay on the team, he's been starting. Of course, his father has had to live down the fact that he was traded for a young Pedro Martinez, who is now in the Hall of Fame. His dad went from Montreal to Los Angeles.
Yeah, because Pedro was too little to start and be any good. That was the philosophy. Didn't have the frame like his bigger brother, Ramon. An instructor in the Oriole organization. Outstanding pitcher in his own right.
Alberto runs, and the hit and run is perfectly executed as Scope broke to second to cover the base. The Shields hit it right past him. Outstanding bat work there by Delino DeShields, and the runner's on the corners now with 1 man down.
Well, if you're Jeff Bannister and you're managing this team, you saw it with Paul Mahler, you see it, with Ned Yost. I mean, right there, because he's behind him, he's got to throw a strike. I mean, this is really a run and hit. Somebody has to cover, and they do a textbook. You can see Scope. I mean, you try to hold your position as long as you can, but eventually somebody has to go to second, and then DeShields gets a perfect pitch to punch into right field.
And there's good speed on the bases for Texas. Here is Sin-Shu Chu. Shields draws a throw and he dives back in.
Yeah, so if you're Jeff Bannister and you're managing the Rangers, you have a couple of options. A lot of times you will not run, even though, as we mentioned, DeShields 22 out of 28, because you want to leave the hole. And Chu's been around long enough to look for something he could pull, especially if the count gets where it was last time.
Bouncer towards first, to second out there, back to first, not in time. Davis could have come home to cut off the run. He elected to try to go for 2, and the Rangers had another run. It's a 3-1 game.
Well, you got to know who's running, and I think there's a little miscalculation. Again, you can see Chu trying to go out and pull something. Almost hit it with one hand, and they're jubilant because they added a couple of runs. So again, that's a play that you're right. Chris comes home. You probably cut the run off. You try to go for 2. See, right, I mean, you could see him trying to hook the ball. And I think Chris felt if he got there quickly enough, but Chu coming out of the box, it wasn't like he got jammed or anything. So it's nice base running, nice hitting. You've seen that this inning.
Well, the way the Orioles are not scoring runs, cutting off runs it should be the priority.
Definitely could be put in the category column.
Of course, if he gets the double play, the inning ends, so you can understand why he's trying for it.
Well, I understand that, but you know, and I know, and you got to make. I mean, these are finger snapping decisions. But again, Wayne Kirby was talking, about his outfield. He said, even balls hit the shortstop. If you're playing the outfield or second base, you got to anticipate maybe the ball won't get caught. Got to know who's running, who hit it, what the situation is. In this road trip, we saw Parra in Baltimore. Threw to home, winning run got to second.
Giannis back of the bag. He'll step on second. That'll force Chu in the inning ends. But a good inning for the Rangers as they get 2 runs on 3 hits. We're through 5, 3-1 Texas. Maryland Fire Chiefs and Maryland State Firemen's Associations. Email mdfirevolunteer@gmail.com to volunteer with your local fire, rescue, and EMS. Nighttime here in Arlington, Texas, which is between Dallas and Fort Worth. A 3-1 lead now for Texas. Orioles had a huge chance in the third against Hamels. A bases loaded walk-out the run-in. But they left 3 on. They've left 4 on in this game and have only 2 base hits.
Yeah, big strikeout of Adam Jones. That was before the walk by Davis for the run. And Chris walked in the run. He was able to get Matt Wieters out.
Swing and a miss at a changeup. Adam is 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. Now 0 for his last 13. Davis on deck, then Matt Wieters here in the Orioles 6th. High fly ball to center field. The Shields on the run, has a play. And he puts it away, so 1 away here in the 6th inning. The O's upcoming schedule brought to you by Mile One Automotive, offering you 20 convenient locations throughout the Baltimore area. Visit us in-store or online at mile1.com. Well, night game here tomorrow, then a day game on Sunday. They play 2 o'clock games here locally on Sunday, so 3 o'clock back home. And then it is back home for Tampa Bay. Night games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on a 3-day homestand.
Yeah, you look at the Rangers, and of course they had a 1-12 stretch at home. Started the season 7-14, only won 7 of the first 21 games, but they're what, 3 games under 500 at home.
Yeah, they're 10-3 in their last 13 home games.
And again, one of the reasons is they pitch much better on the road. 4.83 runs a game at home, a little bit over 4 on the road.
2-0 on Davis, who was the last Oriole to reach. He walked with the bases loaded in the third to force in a run. 8 in a row retired by Hamels since that walk. Popped up to shallow left, in on it is Venable. And 2 away here in the 6th inning. Well, being social with Masson has its rewards. You can join Masson and Chris Davis for an autograph signing at Dempsey's coming up on Monday. The exclusive event is open to @Masson Orioles followers only. So be sure to @Masson Orioles on Twitter to be eligible for an autograph for an additional event details. So 2 quick outs. That is 9 in a row. And here's Matt Wieters, who has one of the 2 Oriole hits. A single in the 2nd inning. You know, the part about what's going on here is Hamels, after 3 innings, had at the time a high pitch count at 56. It was a 30-pitch third inning when the Orioles sent 7 men to the plate. But since then, no one has reached base, so the pitch count is poured back in line, and he's at 83 as he works here in the 6th inning. So very manageable. The Orioles not able to take advantage and elevate that pitch count even more.
Yeah, there's Mike Maddox, his pitching coach, but even when he struck out the side in the 4th, pretty efficient at doing that. And as we mentioned, big strike zone. And I thought that was probably a little bit low. That's not going to change. It's been big all night for the pitcher. Hamels with his 3-pitch repertoire has been able to take advantage of that.
Guarded ball to short. Andrews down on a knee to pick it up, and he throws out Wieters, and there is a 3rd consecutive 3-up, 3-down inning, and 4th on the night for Cole Hamels. Mid-6th, 3-1 Texans. $50 to support the March of Dimes. The O's have drawn 308 walks for a total of $15,400. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and a more active lifestyle. Showalter looking at the matchups. Dave Wallace there as well. Frustrating time for the O's. Gausman has allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. Pair of solo home runs and then the RBI ground out.
Yeah, and we've seen him. I mean, he does settle down. Retired 17 in a row after the home run in the 1st inning against the Twins, his last start. That's what he pretty much has to try to do tonight. He really hasn't had his best fastball tonight, also stuff-wise, but certainly, again, a very competitive start. Hasn't let what hits they've gotten bother him. Hasn't let the game speed up on him.
In the dirt, Beltre did not like the strike 1 call. Wieters is there catching. He had one called on him in his at-bat in the top half of this inning, same location.
Probably discussing that.
High fly ball right center field. Alvarez is back on it. Dario is there, and he's got it for the out. And it sounded good off the bat.
Well, that's one of those balls. In the old days, where the ball really did carry here out towards right center, maybe a little bit to the left. Ball gets up in the wind tunnel and just goes a little bit. I mean, it's a bigger dimension than it is at Yankee Stadium, but that right center field towards the bullpen and just to the right in New York, it's another little wind tunnel where the ball shoots out.
Mitch Moreland has singled and struck out.
Contrary to Camden Yards, where all balls go.
Not all balls. It's spoken from a pitcher's perspective.
Well, it's a pretty hitter-friendly. How long have you been doing Oriole games?
19 years.
Okay, so you've ever heard a hitter complain about hitting Camden Yards?
Never.
That's my point.
When the Orioles acquired Chris Davis from Texas, the Rangers were willing to trade Chris because they had Mitch Moreland. They're the same age, both 29 years old, and I guess technically you could say that Moreland won the competition.
Yeah, they also had Justin Smoke.
Yeah.
So they were well equipped at first base. Mitchell was out of Mississippi, was a
Mississippi State.
No, I'm saying born in Mississippi. Out of Mississippi.
The skipper would let you know that.
No, of course. They were alumni together, but he was a great pitcher. 25-2 in high school. They had a quote in one of their magazines. Brian Dozier, who played down in Mississippi, said, "I thought he was going to get to the big leagues as a pitcher. That's how good he was."
And he struck him out. So Gosman gets his second strikeout. Each time it's been Moreland and 2 away.
Yeah, fastball corner the last time. And this one he just was able to get it out of the strike zone. Just high enough. And the count has a lot to do with it. It's got to chase. It's a big strike zone. So much easier to pitch when you're ahead than when you're behind.
So he retires the first 2. Here is Andrews.
Yeah, he's had 2 good at bats tonight, and nothing to show for either one.
Flied out to right on a slicer that Alvarez then turned into a double play as he threw out Beltre at the plate, and then robbed by Machado his last at bat.
We said, I mean, here's a guy that, that you mentioned long term, 8 years, what about 13, $14 million a year, I guess it comes out.
Signed for 2022, and there's a vesting option for 2023. There's a bouncer to Giannis. Charity hop. And Gosman has a real strong bounce back inning as Texas goes 3 up, 3 down. Well, after the 7th, the O's need some runs, trailing 3-1. Begins at 7:30 with those extra presented by Jeep, and then game coverage at 8 o'clock. We've got all the access you need right here on Mass.
And Abado, he needs to get back on track. That ERA now over 4 runs a game. Certainly, comfortable here, big part. And then Martin Perez coming off the Tommy John surgery, so they backed him up. Not a finesse lefty, but a guy that we're going to see. Talking about the Orioles, 3 lefties in this series. Derek Holling following on Sunday. So they get Perez back. They trade for Hamels, who's pitching a whale of a game tonight, and they get Holland back.
Yeah, they got minor league prospects, the Phillies did, plus Matt Harrison. And Scope fouls it back, and he's down in the count 0-2. Jonathan's having a tough night. He has struck out both times.
Well, it is very difficult because he's a very good fastball hitter. Make a mistake with your breaking ball. But again, you're not getting a whole lot to hit tonight. And even when he gave up the run, that was a bases loaded walk.
Just got a piece to stay alive.
I never knew it, but Tim Kirchin walked up to me about 4 years ago and handed me a sheet of paper with 13 names. And he said, "I bet the boys in Bristol, they bet you wouldn't know what these names are." And I said, "Those were the guys I walked with the bases loaded." because it was the only right answer. I didn't really know that. And that's what Hamels did tonight. Pitched around Davis. As it turned out, he was able to get Wieters out. Now, if he doesn't get Matt Wieters out, then all of a sudden you got yourself, especially the way the Orioles are struggling for runs, got yourself a big inning. But that wasn't the case.
Another 0-2 pitch to Scope. And he got it. Curveball down and in. So Jonathan, real tough night here.
Well, you're seeing 3+ pitches. You know, you're seeing 93 to 95, occasionally 96. You're seeing a great change up, and now the curveball since the 4th inning. And again, how often do you see this? So the big question, can Hamels come out of the National League where he's a #1 starter and doing the American League? Certainly looks like he's got 3+ pitches to do it with.
11 in a row retired. Here's Caleb Joseph.
And when you get a good pitch to hit, and that was one of them, stuff's good enough for you to foul it away.
Well, 1 through 4 in this lineup tonight for the O's. Machado, Pierce, Jones, and Davis are combined 0 for 9. Now, they have drawn 3 walks, and 1 walk for Davis forced in the run. But no base hits the top 4. Wieters has a single, and Paul Janisch, the #9 batter, has a double. Those are the only hits for Buck Showalter's club tonight. Off the end of the bat, shallow center. Long run in for DeShields. And he finally gets there, and he runs it down. And 2 men out. Fans, on Saturday, September 12th, the Orioles will take on the Royals, a special 105 afternoon matinee. And the first 20,000 fans, 15 and over, will receive a Birdland knit scarf. Now, tickets for that game are going fast. Daytime baseball on a weekend in September, so get your tickets at Orioles.com or by calling 888-848-BIRD. Those fans here in Texas. There's several Orioles fans on the flight yesterday coming in.
Yeah, I saw some checking into the hotel yesterday and today.
Strike 1 to Dario Alvarez, who's looking for his first big league hit. He is 0 for 2. Making his big league debut. He went too far on the breaking ball, and he is really having a tough time with that pitch tonight.
Well, when you're on your game and Cole Hamels, he's going to toy with him. I mean, his stuff is so good, he can pitch, and it looks like it's going to be a strike. He can throw the strike to ball about as well as anybody.
And down on strikes goes Alvarez. Another 3 up, 3 down inning as Hamels is in control. 7th inning stretch and a 3-1 Texas lead. Light and our Miller Lite play of the game, the Dario Alvarez throw to the plate.
Yeah, nothing ball game. And what did Buck Showalter say about Paul Janisch when he made a couple of plays yesterday? As advertised? Well, this is as advertised. Best arm in the organization. That's a pretty big statement when you already had 37 assists coming in. But I mean, just a bullet. At least for the moment, the game would remain tied. Like they were going to get their first run.
So here come the Rangers against Alvarez and the Birds, leading it 3-1. Solo home run in the fourth tied the game. Chu got that one. Then it was a 2-run fifth inning. Solo home run by Jimenez and an RBI ground out by Chu. So Gausman has allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. He has struck out 2 and he has not walked a batter. Right now, the difference in this game, the 2 solo home runs and the manufactured run by Alberto and DeShields, as Alberto got on an infield hit off the glove of Machado, and then DeShields, a perfectly executed hit and run to get Alberto to third, where he scored on the RBI ground out by Chu.
And a small ball. The Orioles are getting tired of that, the way that the Twins orchestrated, and even Kansas City to that degree. I mean, they hit good pitches, foul off good pitches, hit balls, good jam to hit it to the opposite field. And again, the ability not to strike out. I mean, perfect example, Texas, only power pitcher, only 2 strikeouts against Gausman. And the Orioles, meanwhile, struck out 10 times, 11 off of the starter Ventura yesterday in only 6 innings.
And it's over but low to Will Venable.
Another good changeup. Yeah, we've seen that tonight. He's thrown a couple of curveballs back to back. First one for a ball, second one for a strike. And a lot of the things that he talked about. Getting now to start every 5th day. There is Dave Wallace's pitching coach. The other thing Dave Wallace talks about when he talks about Kevin Gausman, he said very inquisitive. Always paying attention, always asking questions, always trying to get better. But there's nothing like throwing the rubber and pitching.
And it's down and in. A 2-2 on Venable, who is 0 for 2. Outside, ball 3. Kevin has not won a game since August 1st when he beat the Tigers at Camden Yards. He's 2-5 on the year. And there's a leadoff walk. First walk of the game allowed, and he was ahead of him, a ball and 2 strikes. So Texas now up 3-1, can look for some insurance. Well, your favorite Orioles are back with their favorite dogs and cats. It is the 2016 Orioles Pet Calendar. Proceeds from this brand new 16-month calendar benefit Barks, Baltimore Animal Rescue and Care Shelter. Calendars are now available at Oriole Park or at the official Orioles team store in York, Pennsylvania. Order your copy now at Orioles.com/pet-calendar. There's Jimenez, the catcher. He does have a couple of sacks. He wasn't going to bunt there, and he takes a strike.
He probably just ignored the bunt. He said, I had home run last time. I'm not bunting. Of course, you know what Kevin Gausman's looking for. Maybe he's the hitter earlier in the game. Of course, the last time up, fastball in the middle of the plate, hit a missile. Almost straightaway center field for a home run. Looking for a double play ball here.
Slider, it looked like, misses outside.
Yeah, it's kind of between. It's kind of slurvy. I mean, in college, Kevin talked about he threw a curveball and a slider, and never really been able to throw the hard slider. You figure the slider probably should be 84 to 87 with his kind of arm. So he's just thrown more curveballs this year. Venable, he can steal some bases. And he was 11 out of 12. Kevin doing his homework and paying attention.
And he's smart. He went to Princeton. An Ivy Leaguer on the team now. 1-1 on Jimenez. 1 for 2 with that home run. Gausman knows how important that run is. Hamels has retired 13 in a row. good changeup.
It was almost like it was a changed curveball. Took a little bit off his curveball at 80.
I have noticed a couple of times tonight he has slowed down his arm motion.
Well, that's the BP fastball that he'll throw. Beltre hit one for a single. It's a pitch where sometimes you just throw it knee high.
Loop down the right field side. That's fading back and goes foul.
The pitch count closing in on 100.
Orioles bullpen is silent for the moment. The Orioles starters as a group are 13th in the American League with a 4.38 ERA, so they are near the bottom. The team pitching overall is 8th at 3.85. The team ERA is helped out by the bullpen, which has had a very good, consistent all-around year. And he got him. Another off-speed pitch, and Jimenez swings through it.
Hit the home run on a fastball, so they stay away from it. Again, here's a strikeout. Good splitter change, good movement. Dives out of the strike zone. And Chris Davis had a glove malfunction, so he's going to come over and get another glove.
Gausman picks up his third strikeout. And Davis back to first with a different glove. And his backup glove, which is on the bench. Here's Alberto, 1 out of 2. TJ McFarland now getting loose for the O's. He just did get up.
Well, again, you have another run and hit combination, a straight steal. And the ball can run well, and a guy that can handle the bat.
Off speed pitch misses outside, 1-0.
Hanser Alberto, first time up, hit a ball pretty deep to left center, and that's when they came back with a breaking ball and Manny way off the line at third. Machado got to it, but off the end of the glove, and that's another extra run.
This one's lifted to left field. Pierce in on it, has it for the out. So it hung up long enough, and Steve was there. 2 men down. Texas has gone 22-12 since July the 21st. That is the second best record in the American League. Only the scorching hot Blue Jays, who have gone 24-9 since that day, have had a better record. And that's how they got back into the race. And right now they're happy certainly to be one of the 2 wild card teams, but they're only 5 games back of Houston for the division lead. And if you can do it, you'd much rather go to the postseason as a division lead. Here's the Shields, the leadoff batter. This ball's hit to deep left center field. On the run is Pierce, and it is over his head and up against the wall. Venable around third. He will score. The Shields is flying to third, and the throw is too late. There's a 2-out RBI triple and a 4-1 Texas lead.
Well, that's what they did yesterday, and when Bautista misplayed a ball through or under his glove for 3 runs. But again, the Shields is a very good fastball hitter, and that's what he gets to hit. So the 22 steals. Here comes Buck, but again he gets a pitch to hit, and again everybody talks about how dramatic home runs are. For a Ranger fan, that's a RBI triple. Not a bad way to end. So Gausman once again pitches well, no run support as they get to him here in the 7th. been good defense by the Orioles. Alvarez with his first Major League debut, first assist. So a lot of good things. And again, they don't score a lot of runs for him. A couple of home runs, Chu and Jimenez. Again, not as many fastballs, did not have the normal velocity, still had a pretty good one. And again, went to the curveball a little bit more change-ups. At the end of the day, as we look at our time for a little relief for your car too, visit Jiffy Lube for regular oil changes and help prevent damage and wear to your engine. Jiffy Lube, drive in today. TJ McFarland comes on, trying to hold the game exactly where it is. And a ground ball pitcher. And again, much better against lefties with Chu stepping in than right-handers.
And a swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
There you go. Fastball sinking variety. And able to turn that ball over to the left-handers, and then the slider and the changeup. Again, you could see the higher than average batting average by the right-handers.
Chopper towards the middle. Giannis plays the hop, and a throw out Chu, and McFarland gets the final out. But the Rangers get a big add-on run on the 2-out RBI triple by Delino DeShields, who was left stranded at thirds. We head to the 8th. The Honda do-ups for the O's will be Giannis, Machado, and Pierce. Cole Hamels has retired 13 consecutive batters. The Orioles haven't had a base runner since the 3rd inning. And the last Oriole to reach was Chris Davis, who drew the bases loaded walk to drive in the Orioles' only run. He had a 9-pitch 5th inning. Well, let's go back. He had the 30-pitch 3rd inning. Then he recovered. An 11-pitch 4th inning. A 9-pitch 5th inning, a 9-pitch 6th inning, and 11-pitch 7th inning.
Yeah, 3 walks all in that 3rd inning. And 1 to force in a run.
Falls behind 2-0 on Giannis.
Well, he said he would like to be, at least physically, and then be able to pitch the way he thinks he can, be able to pitch 9 innings pretty much every time.
Low strike call. Giannis didn't like it.
It's been called all night. It's a huge strike zone.
And when you got a guy on the mound that can exploit it, that's a bad combination for hitters. There's a big bouncer to Beltre. Slings it across. Giannis retired and 1 away.
Yeah, take a look with it. I mean, again, about run support. So 13-2 when they've gotten him 3 runs or more. That's what an amazing number. And you go all the way back through his career. 200. You talked about 300 starts. 298 career starts. This is number 299. 102 and 16 with at least 3 runs of support or more. So you get him some runs, and he's going to give you a W. And that's why they got him. But you said a 6 for 2? Or 4 for 2?
No, it was a 6 for 2. Yeah. 6 went to Philadelphia.
And of course, Rangers are a very good minor league. They were able to do that.
And you made a good point about why they did it, because at the time it didn't look like they were going to get back in the race. Of course they have, but this is long term because he's already signed. So instead of going out on the free agent market, get a guy that you like, and if you trade for him, now he's yours.
Yeah, and you Darvish. We talked about Perez. We talked about Holland. Talked about a number of their pitchers coming back from injuries. Matt Harrison had back problems. He was part of that trade. He went to Philadelphia. And then, of course, Darvish, the Tommy John. I don't know when he'll be back. Talked about bullpen help. They went out. We saw Sam Dyson when the Orioles were in Miami. He throws 96 to 98 with a great movement. So he gets you to Sean Tollison, who's their closer. So you talked about the bullpen. If you look at the raw numbers, 4.51 ERA?
Yeah, they're 14th out of 15.
Right, but lately it's not the same bullpen. They've added people since the trading deadline.
3-2 to Manny is fouled off.
John Daniels, they get TV money down here. They get some money to spend. Owner's willing to spend it, and they've gone out. Hamels makes $20 to $25 million a year through 2018.
Down the line, but foul.
But you make a really good point when they know they're going to at least have him through 2018.
Another 3-2 pitch to Machado, and he works a walk. So that snaps the string. 14 in a row have been retired. Orioles still only have 2 hits, and Hamels is playing to a weakness of the Orioles, the free swinging team. And there are the pitches.
Well, that 109 is the no-hitter. It was Saturday afternoon against the Cubs. So there are the Orioles. 36 times they have struck out more than 10 times. And that's including today's game.
So Hamels pitching from the stretch for the first time since the 3rd inning.
Well, you got a base hit here, and I can't imagine Jeff Bannister with a groin injury and the lead and the fact his bullpen has really performed well is going to give Cole Hamels much of room to not fail, but to not be successful here in the 8th inning. There's no reason to do that.
Too tight, and it's 1-1. Yeah, the contract is $23.5 million this year, same next year, same in 2017 and 18, and then a $20 million option for 2019. And there's a double play ball fielded by Alberto to Andrews, back to first, double play. So they get the 1-out walk, and Pierce bounces into the 4-6-3, and the inning ends. So Texas behind Cole Hamels in control. Mid-8th in Arlington, 4-1 Rangers. strongest fan photo to the hashtag O's Couchcam, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Brother and sister in an O's game. McFarland stays on to get the final out of the 7th. Orioles have been held to 2 base hits. Prince Fielder, then Beltre and Mitch Moreland this inning. Check swing, he did not go, says Paul Schreiber at third base.
Yeah, it's kind of intriguing to me. You know, Hamels comes over, apparently had a little bit of a issue with the groin, gives up 5, 4, 3, 2, and it holds tonight 1. Those are his starts with the Rangers. He's gotten progressively better. And they've got progressively back into the race.
Orioles 2 hits, the fewest they've had in a game since they were no hit in Seattle. Iwakuma on August the 12th. Fielder is 1 out of 3. He single, was out trying to stretch it to a double. His single hit off the wall 404 feet away in center field.
Yeah, he kind of watched it coming out of the box. I think he thought it might get out of here. And then, of course, it caromed off the wall, and Adam Jones made about as good a throw as you could, and he was out at second.
Ball ricocheted over there to Giannis, who plays it across. So 1 away, and time now for the drive of the game, brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 volume Lexus dealer, 5 years running. See why at lexusoftowson.com.
Yeah, 1-1 ball game, and Jimenez, I mean, scorches one. Makes it 2-1. Two had homered early. One of the 2 home runs they've hit tonight, and then they sprayed the ball around the ballpark for the other 2 runs.
Breaking balls load to Adrian Beltre, who has a couple of hits tonight. He is 61st all time on the hit list, 2,720.
Well, he's slowly putting together some Cooperstown numbers. Jason Garcia getting loose, the over 5 acquisition for the Orioles. Well, if he plays long enough, gets to 3,000 hits, 407 home runs. Gold Glover.
He's got 4 Gold Gloves. One-two pitch is hit past the mound. Giannis plays it and then guns to first again. Paul Giannis is so smooth at shortstop and 2 away. You can follow the O's wherever you are with MLB.com at bat. It is the #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins. You get player reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or your tablet.
Well, I hope Buck Showalter is looking to see who can hit a 3-run home run, looking at that scorecard. Who can we dial up? Because that's what the Orioles need.
Well, they will have the heart of the lineup coming up in the 9th inning. McFarland has retired all 3 on ground balls to short. This ball's looked to the right center field. Alvarez on the run, and he runs it down at deep right center field. Oh, the kid has some range out there, and he runs it down. So the Rangers go in order. Here we go, 9th inning coming up. O's need 3 to tie. It is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by PNC for the achiever in you.
Now Cole Hamels trying to even the record 8-8. So he comes over from the Phillies. And boy, he was special tonight. Great change up to Machado. Fastball. Adam Jones doesn't get it. Another one for Adam. Bases are loaded at this time. Curveball. Used that as the game progressed. Again, overpowering night. You can see the strikeouts. Walked 3 in one inning, one last inning, and then only gives up the 2 hits. And Sean Tollefson will come in, their closer. 3-pitch pitcher. The breaking balls, a sharp slider, and he's got a changeup he'll throw in any count. 93 to 95. And again, only the 2 blown saves. More strikeouts than innings pitched.
Adam Jones takes a strike.
There are the numbers. Righties at 204, and then lefties with a little bit better luck.
And a big swing and a miss.
Well, that's a hanging slider, and when you overswing, and you can see Adam trying to figure out where the bat head is. I mean, this ball ends up right in the middle of the plate. Maybe even a curveball took a little bit off. A big swing, and then just couldn't track it. When you swing hard, a lot of times the head moves. Makes it harder to hit.
Outside 1-2. Jim mentioned Tollefson has just 2 blown saves, but one came on Tuesday against the Blue Jays. His other one was July the 11th against San Diego in interleague play. Adam is 0 for 3 against them in their career head-to-heads. Ground ball weakly hit towards the middle. Fielded there by the second baseman Hanser Alberto, and the play not made, and the Orioles get a leadoff man on as Moreland couldn't scoop it.
Yeah, hard to get out of the box. So one thing we see from Adam Jones, he runs everything hard. Again, gets to it very quickly, but bounces the throw. And then, of course, if Moreland catches it, Adam's out. You can see it's a little stumble at home plate. It still runs hard, and then I would imagine they'd score that a base hit. But a good throw gets him. And when you're down by 3, it keeps the inning very much alive.
So here is Chris Davis. Those need one more on to get the tying run up.
Yeah, they're counting the outs, and the Orioles are just saying we can't get to that 27th out without tying this game up or taking the lead.
And that is ruled a base hit, by the way, for Adam. So that snaps his 0 for 14. And a swing and a miss. Davis down in the count 0-2. Davis 0 for 2. He did walk with the bases loaded for an RBI. His 92nd RBI of the year. And it's inside, a ball and 2 strikes. Outfield is deep. The Shields in center, a step or 2 towards the gap in right center. So there's a lot of room in left center field, which Chris does have good back control to. Just hasn't gone there much as of late. Strike 3 call. Davis says no, but the way this game has gone tonight with the huge strike zone, you're better off just fouling it off.
Yeah, a little curveball, and anything that matters, fielding Colbert behind the plate. He calls it a strike. Jimenez, does he move it back over the plate? Pretty much caught it exactly where the umpire's sitting. It looks like it may have gotten the corner.
Here's Matt Wieters. He'll take it low, 1-0.
Yeah, I've seen Sean Tollefson where he'll throw 93 to 95. So today, 92, but he does. Listening to one of the broadcasts the other day, his pitch selection is enough where he almost has starter stuff. 3-4 pitches. I already saw the curveball. We haven't even seen the changeup. It's a good one.
Wieters fouls it back. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. And a good take.
There's the changeup.
Tollefson came here on a waiver claim from the Dodgers organization. He's been in the Dodgers organization his entire career until last season. It's a pretty good arm to pick up on a waiver claim.
Well, it is, and you know the pitchability even makes it even better. 64 games last year for Texas.
Inside.
You could see him really trying to move it in and out, and take a little bit off, add a little bit.
And Wieters, as he should, in this situation, Orioles down to their final 2-out series, being very patient.
Well, he could take a pitch here. I think otherwise you get a home run back coming to the plate.
This ball's driven to right field. Back on it is Chu. He's got it for the out. And Wieters hit it well, but right at Chu and 2 down.
Yeah, one of those quality at bats, and then you get the bad luck factor.
Now the Orioles trailing 4-1, and of course it's been tough as of late. But for the Orioles on the year, Jim, the magic number's been 4. When they score 4 runs, they're as good as anybody. That is a .771 winning percentage at 54-16. But they are just 9-48 when they score 3 runs or less. That is a .158 winning percentage. And in 7 of the last 8 games, all losses, they've been held to less than 3, and they've won on the board tonight. So here is Scope trying to keep it going. And they'll take a strike on the corner.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but Jonathan, of course, didn't even turn around because it doesn't do a whole lot of good. Yeah, you saw Tollefson 3-1. He gave Matt something to hit, and then he lucked out a little bit because he was hit right at somebody. That's pitching to the scoreboard. Didn't want to walk it. Bring the potential tying run to the plate.
They are not holding Adam on. He probably could take second base if he goes. A huge lead, as you see. And he is going to go. And Scope fouls it back, so he'll have to come back. And the O's are down to their final strike. Ariel Alvarez made his big league debut tonight. 0 for 3 at the plate, but excelled in the outfield. 1-2 on Scope. Jones goes, and it's in the dirt. And bounces behind Jimenez. So the Orioles are runner at second. That takes away a force there. Scope trying to keep it going. He struck out 3 times tonight against Cole Hamels. And a swing and a miss. Down goes Scope, and the Orioles drop the opener of this 3-game series. All about pitching here tonight as Cole Hamels dominated the Orioles. And Tollefson comes on to earn the save in the ninth. So the struggles for the O's continue. They're now 1-4 on the trip, 2-9 in their last 11, and fall 2 games below 500. Final score in Arlington: Texas 4, Baltimore 1.